Welcome, ladies and gents, to a huge series in terms of survival in Titans League. A month ago, El Matador and Target were steaming their way through silver, and both players were promoted up to gold, which then immediately became a conversation of who is going to survive in gold. There's 3 players in this group that most likely are going to be the ones fighting for that 4th place spot. We still don't know if that's going to be the case, but most likely. And that is Z40, a player who was promoted, and then El Matador and Target. And coming into this series, Target has 3 wins, and then El Matador, he has 2 wins. So it is more important for El Matador to get wins than it is for Target. And so we have a German showdown, too, as well. We have quite a few Germans here in gold. I think we've got 4. Maybe it's 3. We've got Nilly, we've got El Matador, we've got Target. I'd have to really think about it, but it's Malians for Target. It's Byzantines for Matador, and both players have taken a similar approach with their start. El Matador, he has made his TC a bit faster, and he's made it in the open land here where the villagers begin, or spawn. And then Target actually opted to walk over here to the wood line. So he will be down a villager because of that, but he's right next to a wood line, and he doesn't have to rely on just straggler trees. Now, El Matador went for the Byzantines in a game against Sebastian in the previous round, and he got a win with Byzantines. So he clearly feels very comfortable. It was a ridiculous game. It was Persians versus Byzantines. We saw Elite Cataphracts. We saw Persian longswords in Siege actually kind of work. Like it denied a castle at 92%. Anyways, go watch that game if you missed it. It was a really good one, so I'm hoping this one goes late game as well. And if it goes late game, I think Byzantines have superior options. But Malians are a civ that have quite a bit of flexibility throughout the game. So already, like having the cheaper wood buildings has affected the start and has made it a bit easier for Target to get by. I predicted the German will win this game. Spoilers, man. What are you doing? Stop spoiling results. How dare you? Yeah, some players will make the 3rd fishing ship now in El Matador's position, but most players, they will go for the lumber camp next. So they go dock, they chop straggler trees, and then they go lumber camp. Because you're going to need a house soon, and you're going to need a lumber camp. I think trying to squeak in the fishing ship as well is maybe too much. T90, how do you get games scheduled for this? I'm not really sure what your question is. Do you mean... Yeah, I'm not sure what your question is exactly. You'll have to clarify exactly what you mean. And then I'll answer it. 3 fishing ships for Target, but it'll make sense because he has wood closer to his TC, right? And every time I've seen players go for the early dock with civs like this, very frequently we've seen players go double dock and try to win water here before transitioning into land and whatnot, so... Players have free scheduling. So the players are like, hey, such and such, when can you play? And then the other player's like, hey, such and such, I could play these days at these times. And then the other player's like, okay, you want to do this time? The other player's like, yeah, we're going to do that time. And they're like, cool, see you then. That's basically how it works. Yeah, players have deadlines for when they need to play the rounds. In the event, like there are scheduling issues with Age of Empires. Sometimes it's a nightmare, don't get me wrong. But then, you know, I'm there or JBR is there who helps with the adminning. And we're like, hey, you've got to make sure that these games are played. What can we do to help? Blah, blah, blah. So that's the gist of it. And, ooh, if Target gets this wall off, this would be so sick. Oh, man. Oh, that is so smart. Okay, so he scouted that there was a dock here from Matador. And Matador, I think, I could be wrong. I think he was planning on going for a 2nd dock. But he's not going to do it anymore. I think I am wrong, actually, because he hasn't gone for gold yet. He hasn't actually scouted it. Oh, no, he scouted the gold there. That villager can't leave now. That was my question. Thanks. Yep, no worries. You know, for the regular group stage, as the villager's going to try and escape, and Matador, he did not look over here at all. He's going to make a fire galley from one dock, though. Just going to be one fire galley. For the playoff stage and whatnot, we then have set days that players have to play. We're as flexible as we can be with the players. But when it comes to important stages, then it's more of a strict deadline. So Target figures, I'm probably going to win water because I've got 2 docks versus his 1. And he probably will. But there should be some type of payoff here for Matador. Didn't really build up anything too quickly here. Kind of took his time. Took his time with the barracks. Now he's got the range. He hops out with his fire, and he is Byzantines. So, you know, fire ships are stronger, but 2 is better than 1. So, not really sure that fire ship was in any way worth it for Matador. I know the stress will be high for Matador. I know him. And I know how it is myself playing in tourneys, especially the first game. You start to feel those nerves. Let's do a casual El Matador APM check. I don't know how he does it. He clicks so much. Oh, can he click this? Oh, there's no way that villager survives. There's no way. Not against that APM. Oh, but you can't attack with the camel. And Target actually saved the villager there. Ooh, that was very well played from both players. Saved the villager with the house trick. There is a spearman on the way, though, for Matador. He is, according to the dashboard, the fastest player in the game. A lot of people don't know this about him. There's a spearman. And I don't think Target was expecting there to be military, and a villager's down. Target actually did a pretty poor job scouting here. He didn't scout to see what El Matador is really doing. I feel like once you've won water, you need to do that. But he's been focusing a bit more on macro than anything. And it is going to be full spearman, full skirm, full trash from Matador, which he did do in the, I think round 2. I forget who he beat on this map. Wait, no, that was the same game I was talking about, the Byzantines versus Persians. He's actually using the spears and the skirms to kill the hunt as well, so his opponent can't take any, which is really smart. And while he's doing that, he's taking the hunt here, and then he's taking the hunt here. A Target building up a barracks now. So the problem I see for Target is he doesn't really have that much hunt or sheep available then. Also, there were 2 sheep he didn't locate earlier in the game. The positive thing for him, obviously, is going to be the fishing ships, though. For some reason, I hear a lot of fire when I look at this area of the map. It's not from this either. It's just a game bug. Now there's spears and there's skirms all around, and Target's going to add the stable, which might make Matador a little bit paranoid. He might be thinking his opponent could be thinking about knights in the next stage or something if there's a stable going up already. But spearmen just waltz through, and the spearmen are going to walk over here, and again, it's just so freaking annoying right now to have all these random skirms and spears around your base. And for Byzantines, all these units are cheap. Not usually going to kill villagers with spearmen and skirms because you only do 1 damage a hit, but it does add up. So I think after seeing this stable, El Matador is starting to panic his opponent will be up. And as he's going to run past the TC with these skirms, because he did it before with spearmen, so why not with skirms? And he's going to get past with 1. So it's the 1 spear, 1 skirm army, but... Anyways, back to my point, Matador is concerned that his opponent might be on the way to Castle Age already. And so he's using the market a bit. I like how he's not selling a stone, though. I think you really need stone on this map. This map eventually turns into just pure economy and defense. And you wall here, and then you just drop TCs. El Matador has nothing else to micro, really. Well, there is a skirmisher slowly killing a camel. So I imagine he's going to be a real pain with these skirm and spearmen here. More hunt being taken in. Let's see how much food has been brought in this game. More food for the player taking hunt. See, isn't that interesting? I feel like this map balance has such a nice balance to it. The player who's taken water has seen benefit and seen reward, but the player who's taken hunt has seen reward. And I feel like, you know, if the player who's taken Hunt gets the food faster, and because they get the food faster, they can then use that food to spend more on villagers in the second TC. But then the fishing is more long-term. So again, it just feels like it'll be very even. Yeah, it's true that Target has better infantry being Malians. So, you know, that Persian play was kind of weird. The Spearman's going to die, and then the Skirm's going to die as well. But I don't think opening longswords here is great. It's too slow. It's too obvious to spot. I think doing what he's done here and just making staple units anyways is the way to go. A Matador's killing this elephant now. He does not want Target to be able to take these elephants later on for himself. So that's 400 food down the drain. Anyway, second TC for El Matador. He's lots of vision because of all his mills and houses throughout the map. Gotta be careful if he's got any weak vills out there. It doesn't look like he does. He added a scout. He now sees the scout from Target. This is really good thinking from both players. Target will not want to lose that scout, though. That would be really important. You can still use a 5 HP scout to scout the whole map and also to kill monks. There is Target now in the next stage. I think we see TC and then another TC. Bam. He's got the wood and the stone for another one. It doesn't feel like he's comfortable with any of the positions. Yeah, he's just kind of cramped. I think here would be ideal, but there's a unit there. So, yeah, he's just going to go TC, TC. That's fine. These town center positions look a little bit better for a Matador. He actually has 2 golds behind his walls. And Target, because he was so defensive, had to wall behind the gold or in front of, depending on how you look at it. Don't think I missed anything over here. I don't think a villager died here. It's just camels and monks. And El Matador still collects a lot of food this game. But he's not collected as many resources. Really nice game. So, long term, both civs could actually go for a ton of camels. But Malian camels will get the +7 attack after the Farimba upgrade. But Byzantine camels are cheaper. So I think you might want to go like pike camel if you're Byzantines, because pikes are also really cheap, and pikes are good against camels. And I guess Malians might want to go hand cannons, camel. It's a bit of a weird matchup. It's all... You have to play centered around some counter units of your own when you're up against the Byzantines. Counter their counter. Target's going to be the player who's more willing to add monks. El Matador's... That's probably his weak point as a player, but he's got 3 monks in queue himself here. Like we said, that weak scout is scouting this area, seeing that there's no town centers or expansion from El Matador. It's been pretty common to see 4 TCs in this map, so I think Target might be considering TC4 somewhere. I think he might actually build it with this villager. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird prediction for me, but... And again, going for that many town centers could be considered a bit of an overboom. And Byzantines have the cheaper Imperial Age. Now Matador being attacked here by this scout. He's distracted elsewhere. He saw the monk. So scout's doing damage. Could lose all those villagers if he doesn't pay attention to this. Right now, it seems like he's distracted by this. Oh, God, this scout killing these villagers would be... Okay. Well, just losing 1 vill is not that big a deal. That would have been pretty rough. Can Malians play Gebetto? You could if you have map control first. That's what I'm thinking, like... I guess with hand cannons, you also surrender map control because you need to wait for chemistry. What you don't want, though, is castles that are exposed and then commit towards going Gebetto and then having your castles trapped down. So with relatively defensive castles, I could see it. They know it's going late game. Relics are important in late game. Both players have 1 right now. And res collected, I'll check again. It is higher for the Malian player, but the wood and food count is higher for El Matador. It's just been tons of gold for Target. I would have liked to seen this be a town center instead of random villagers collecting stone, personally. I find this kind of odd. A lot of players would have just bought the stone and built a TC there. It's a weird place to be getting stone when you could just have gotten stone here. I'm guessing he just didn't notice it. And he's been looking for this army. He does have vision on this, and he's just going to prep some walls. I say prep walls. He didn't actually place that wall. That's just a misclick. And surely he'll realize this as he goes for a conversion on the camel and has his own camels in defense. That should be a conversion. Took a while, but gets it. And gets some really nice hits here. And now has more monks and can convert more camels from Target. And Target's going to regret moving forward like this. Well, Matador will back away. No upgrades for Matador. It's worth noting that. So he doesn't have bloodlines. This will be relic number 2. And God, these guys are so evenly matched. But right now, in the group, Target has one more win. Which is why I was hyping up this series. Let's see a few more camels in production for Matador now. And risky castle for Target in some ways, right? Because you're leaving your walls and you don't really know exactly where your opponent is. But he's expecting his opponent to be here. And Matador has to back away because of the monks. Yeah, the monks are just able to swing fights so nicely. I would love to see outposting here. Even just some random houses is so nice with Byzantines because of all the vision it gives you. And, ooh, the monks are going to go down. So that's pretty good for Matador. He does lose the camels, but he still has his monks. There's been a lot of distractions over on this side, right? This has been where players have been focused, and I guess that's what Target knew, and that's why he placed this castle. And Target's clicked man-at-arms. So I think he's worried about camels and being out-cameled by Byzantines, but he's also thinking Halb would be a good play from El Matador. Blacksmith just now coming in. It's been a very boomy game. Oh man, this TC's going up with that one build. This side is so crucial. I'm not sure if Matador notices that. I think he could get a camel there in time. We're going to see a castle from El Matador. And he just thought about outposting this area. Oh no, he didn't actually. Target's the one doing that. And Target not actually producing the infantry yet. I think he wants to know exactly what his opponent's going for first, in all honesty. But I like the university play. Faster researching university text is so helpful. And so he's probably thinking chemistry at the very least. This could be a big fight for Matador, though, who's going to build a castle. Target didn't realize the army was coming in. All the monks are going to go down, and now Matador could convert all of these camels. Oh, that's huge. And quick wall from El Matador. The camels can't make it through. And Target doesn't really have an army right now. Dang, man. 3-2 on relics, by the way, for those that are big fans of the relics. Now, if you try and commit solely towards infantry against the Byzantines and they have castles, they can go cataphracts. You don't exactly need a lot of cataphracts either. Now, chemistry's coming in, which means Target will want to go for bombard cannons. And Matador's still making camels, which I think at this stage of the game, you have to question. Don't know if 21 camels is what you want now. He didn't drop barracks. He's got 23 camels. Oh my god. Now he has to commit towards a Trebor here. And he's committing towards the Trebor, which means he cannot produce cataphracts, which actually makes I think the longsword's pretty viable. As it stands right now, a Matador doesn't have an army that can easily take out these Trebs. He's going to try and use his camels, though. And having researched some of those techs really early was quite smart for Target. He didn't have to wait very long. Two-handed swordsman's already on the way. And he will have... Target will have a bombard cannon here. And he can snipe the trap. Having trained with El Matador a lot, these are his weak points. Early imp army compositions and like little siege monk engagements. The monk engagements have been great. but that really hurts him. And this is the strength of Target. He's more of a closed map player, and he's all about these timings. Whereas on a very open map, which El Matador has one of them as his home maps, then you would probably expect El Matador because of the execution and the speed. You're Byzantines. You never should be losing your castles into Trebor, but that's precisely what's happening here. And El Matador is just stuck. He's trying to go Trebs, but he's also trying to go Cataphracts at the same time, and it's such a tricky spot when you need unique units and you need Trebuchets. And look how ineffective the camels are versus that Treb! They take it. It's worth it for him to take it. Oh, it's also good for Matador that he was able to take out the Bombard Cannon. But Champion's on the way right now. And this is looking increasingly difficult. I can't even say for the German because they're both German, but it's looking increasingly difficult for El Matador. There's stone and there's gold behind this that he needs control of. And in some other games we've seen on this map, if players are losing this position, they fully saturated these stones and these golds. But he hasn't really been able to do that. Skirm raid! Leftover skirms randomly in the back of Target's base. Camel raid. And the distraction kind of worked because the Cataphracts are now able to take out the Trebs and stop the castle. What? Camel raid and skirm raid OP. Will the Trebs go down, though? He's trying. You got to at least get 2 here, right? Oh, no. He didn't focus down the Trebs. I think he could have gotten all 3 there, honestly, with the amount of time he had. Does have more Cataphracts being massed. And he's just repairing this castle to buy himself time for Cataphracts at this point. 45 champions versus 11 Cataphracts. Champions win. That's just too many. The Cataphracts are not elite, of course. Cataphracts missing some upgrades here or there. El Matador panicking now. But he's going to start to make hand cannons. And hand cannons are actually a really good switch here. Could be a little late. But he still has more villagers than Target, actually. He's had a nice boom going. That might change here in a second. But still. Hand cannons are great against the infantry. And Malians do struggle against gunpowder. Because they don't have great skirmishers or great archers to really deal with that. Monks get a couple conversions, which is obviously helpful. Hand cannons are here. Cataphracts are ready to loop in. Maybe take out the siege like their comrades were unable to do earlier. And honestly, I think Target has maybe overcommitted towards champions here. It's like he didn't know what else he needed to prepare. And El Matador is right back in business here, guys. The Trebs are going to be exposed. The Bombard Cannon may be able to pull back. And then the hand cannons are going to push forward here. Wow, what a hold from El Matador. I mean, he lost so much. He still doesn't have stone, but he's taking some good trades now. Monks getting conversions, as we said. The hand cannons killing, and here, a mix of camels and Cataphracts. You need to lose the camels anyways, because it doesn't feel like the camels are going to be that helpful for you. And so, you know, if your opponent's just spending time attacking camels, your Cataphracts are going to get the kills. And champions are just not enough right now. Your high Pierce armor does not help you against Byzantines when Byzantines are making these types of units here. We're going to have a score flip after that Treb goes down. Wow. Crazy stuff. Definitely seeing the tourney overboom mode. 150 vills. Not necessarily an overboom, but that is a really big boom for El Matador. He's moved forward with his hand cannons now. I'm trying to think. What do you make now for your target? I think Gebettos can be helpful against the Katas, like more helpful against the Katas, but it's still an infantry unit that dies to hand cannons. I think Light Cav's a nice idea as he's researching it. It's a good move. He's dropping the stables now. You do have lots of attack. You can raid with the Light Cav. This is a nice find with the champs, by the way. An issue for El Matador right now is he doesn't actually have a way to push. So he cleared up an army, but then he's giving time to Target to stabilize because he doesn't have the siege to push anywhere. Still no stone income for him, by the way. He's trying to push this way. Cataphracts and camels. And he'll see his opponents adding stable units. I don't know if he's going to want to consider pikemen here because his opponent has Gebetto and champion. Could be an option for him, though, as Matador is just kind of delaying production of buildings, giving himself time to mass the trebs next to this castle. Yeah, Malians don't get Bracer. Yeah, the lack of control in this area for both players is nuts. But guys, the amount of army we have from both players right now is also nuts. We'll have heavy camel from both. This TC should go down. There's no way that you can stop that from happening. No bomber cannons for El Matador is something I consider to be a problem. But elite cataphract is hype. TC goes right down, but Target now knows that the cataphracts are not at home. So here he comes. Kills a couple of these monks. Is up against only hand cannons right now. The Lycav could run in and try and raid this area and make life awkward for El Matador. And you can tell he's concerned because he's pulling his trebs back. It was the right play from El Matador, though, to stay here, and he needs to make sure the TC's down before he leaves. I'm not sure Gebetto is that great against hand cannons. I think that gunpowder's still going to be able to kill it pretty convincingly, but at least you have some range. We've got more stable units coming from Target behind this, and the TC is down. Also, if the docks would be taken out, then the fish traps are useless, but I don't think you waste your time on that. And Matador also lost this area, so the whole shoreline is still for the taking for both. I'm noticing ballistics isn't in for Matador. Could help his castle fire. I think it'd be worth it for him to have even skirmishers in the mix. He's got 27 hand cannons. His army here is just catching a couple Lycav that are going over for raids, but unable to be here as Target's just going to fortify this hill. So for Target, it's a line of castles. Castle, castle, castle. This castle also gives him more stone to make more castles. Stone's still an issue for El Matador. And I think El Matador is starting to lose control. He senses it, so he's going to try and push this down. He needs to kill these bomber cannons. I think you send the Katas for that. The Katas go kill the cannons, and then everything else stays as part of the main battle. And Target able to back away. Good thinking there. And 54 army versus 50. Castle will go down right after it goes up. And there's some bomber cannons as well from El Matador. There's 19 camels on the field right now. How do Farimba camels do against cataphracts? They should do pretty good, right? Like the +7. I know you don't do a ton of bonus damage against katas like you would against paladins, for example. But the +7 still should be pretty helpful. What a grind! They're both down to 150 pop right now. This is crazy. Target's still able to keep his bomber cannons up, though. He's killed 22 units with these bomber cannons. But dang, man. This is so important. This is the only gold income that El Matador has right now. And he's dropping a TC there because he knows he's exposed. Target doesn't actually have any gold income now. Like, he needs to make a run for gold income. And Malians, if they don't have gold, really struggle. Because their skirms don't have Bracer. They don't get Halb. And then, of course, Byzantines kind of thrive if they don't have gold. So, I mean, he could take some gold here, right? He's realized it. I'm not seeing any other gold areas besides the shoreline. And El Matador maybe feeling like this area is too tough for him to push because the bomber cannons are waiting. He's going to head over here with his trebs as well. Bit of a weird spot to go. I can kind of understand the thinking, but I also feel like I would feel extremely vulnerable here in this area. Huh. I'd like to see at least outposting. Also, I know you don't get Halb, but I still appreciate the fact that Target's adding pikes. You still want to have as many units as possible. We don't have a single trash unit in production for El Matador. No skirms, no pikes. And this is his gold income. So, you know, that, and also Target just saw, like, Target just noticed that army was over here. So now Target's going to go for a bit of a raid. I think Matador could have wood problems pretty soon here as well. He's been unable to take much control over the game. He's had to be very reactive here. He's hoping for a big snowball engagement with these elite cataphracts. No more camels for Target. A Target, he's going to run over here as he gets Tigui right now. Tigui hype. And he wants to kill Vils. I think you could take out the TC with the light cav too. Light cav here, finding some kills. Here's the katas and the hand cannons. This composition is disgustingly strong. Against what Target is making, it's insane. But can you afford to make it in the long run? And are the Trebs in position? Where are those Trebs? Does anyone see the Trebs? Oh, they're there. Guys, if he had the Trebs here right now, he could be pushing the castle. He's running into double castle fire. You can't advance in there. I think he's just forgotten about the Trebs for the time being because he's got a lot to worry about. Makes sense. More villagers being found from Target. I like this from Target. I'd like to see him also take some gold for himself. It looks like he is, though. I thought that was just leftover ruins from his base earlier. God, this game is so close. Look at the res collected, too. It is so close. But I think Target's position is better because he has more on gold. He has an actual raiding unit. He has light cav. And the light cav have more potential for kills. And you're not spending gold. And he's also raiding as well, right? Like, Matador is using cataphracts to go and kill these villagers. But cataphracts is like his main force. That's the unit he needs to rely on to win fights. If he doesn't have cataphracts, he's screwed. Like, if Matador had 10 barracks spamming halbs, I would think a bit differently. Because the Byzantine halbs should be able to dominate here. But it's been all the Byzantine gold options that Matador's been trying to use. And Target's been really patient with his siege. It's like, anytime Target comes forward with his siege, he's ready. And it's a good moment. He just picks his spots really well. This is going to be the 4th castle in this long line that will control additional golds and stones. And then there's no defensive castles for El Matador to work with. Here he'll lose all of his villagers to 2 light cav. Here he still has to figure out a raid. Here Target had a light cav sitting. And now Target has more light cav coming this way. Yeah, this game might be over right now. Which means El Matador probably for survival in the group would need to win 2 straight. It's a huge win for Target's confidence as well. Cataphract raid happening. With Tigui, though, TC will fire arrows when you're not even garrisoned. And also when you're garrisoned, so that's nice. TC is starting to go down. Archer range is starting to go down. The Catas here will go down. That is the last Cataphracts we will probably see from El Matador if he can't get back on gold. He is barely on gold there. He's got 400 gold remaining there. He doesn't have an eco setup, which really looks conducive for the long term now. And even the pikes are headed in. Like, Target has set up his eco to just make more units if he has to, which is what you need to do in late game. If you're relying on one group of an army taking effective fights throughout the whole game, you're either Mongols or you have a bad strategy. Or like Berbers with like Camel Archers or Mangadai. There are certain units that you can hope to keep alive the whole game. The Cataphracts, not really that type of unit. And this went from an even game, back and forth, to Target just destroying El Matador. El Matador's got 110 population. Cannon galleons on the shoreline from Target. Dang! That actually could have been a really good play earlier as well. I didn't think about that. And I think this is the classic... you know you're dead, but you're just going to play on a little bit longer, take some deep breaths, and, then go into the next games here from Matador. This is rough. A tough one to swallow. Because he knows how important victories are here. But a 3-0 will not be a possibility. A 2-1, still obviously very possible for him. Watch, his APM is probably still higher. I don't know what he does. He clicks so much. This guy just clicks way too much. Never questioned if this guy can be fast, but it's if he can use the potential for speed to, get the decision making right. And it's actually the really slow stuff he struggled with in this game, right? Just getting the castles and the outposts in the right spot. And then having some siege available to protect this area. This whole ridge was never really something he was able to effectively control. Which I think is fine if, both players had a big issue collecting all the golds here. So as the GG's called, I actually think that how he chose to play it, playing into Cataphracts, is fine if he has extra stone and gold. He didn't have the extra stone and gold. And Target was much more consistent with unit production there. That's a great game. Should he have just gone trash, I guess? I think having trash available is always good, right? I don't know if having trash available necessarily wins him the game, but I think it helps him in some situations, yes. Because remember, Gebetto is pretty good against trash, and so is Champion. And there's nothing stopping Target from just switching right back into Champion. Target killed 207 eco in this game, guys. His eco was, Target's eco, that is, was a lot more protected. And was protected behind the castles. And he was able to get the job done. Resource-wise, Target did collect more wood and food. He ended the game with 70 plus on food. Didn't have as much gold control, actually, but didn't really matter in the end. That was a great game. Yeah, he had fully upgraded champs and gold access, as Matador in chat, yes. Obviously, this series happened earlier. No spoilers, anyone? Yeah, I can understand why you would question wanting to go for trash. But if I were to say one unit that is always really good, is I would say always, if you're not pop capped, you should have some Halbs in the mix. At the very least, if there's Pikes, you could just have Halbs versus Pikes. Then it's Halbs are stronger. This is the first time I think I've seen this map where no one really has a town center here for long. I think both players could have done a better job at getting TCs up over here. But usually it's one player doesn't do it and then they pay the price. But both players kind of struggled with that. The hill or the mountain ended up being really important. All right, GG. All right, so here we are, guys. Ladies and gents, welcome. We've got Chinese for Matador. And I was just curious how the start was going to look here. Because you start with the bush underneath your town center. And I played a show match against Survivalist, I don't know, a month ago. And I had chosen Chinese, and it felt pretty smooth because of that bush. Because the weakness of Chinese is no food. The strength of Chinese is having the vills. If you get the food, then you're going to have a good spot as far as vill production is concerned. And yeah, that's pretty good. 28 seconds of DC idle time. That's not too bad. Boar's already in for El Matador as well. So the way this map works, very open, lots of wood lines. Hard to wall the wood lines or wall between the wood lines because of the stone path. And then you've got gold and stone, everything spread out throughout. Typically is a heavy army map. I talked about El Matador's speed, so I feel like he should be in a pretty good spot to compete here. And then Target he's more of a strategic player on maps where they develop a bit more slowly. He gets a lot of wins in the arena style maps, the Costa Mountain style maps. He's not a player who I've ever seen really excel on the Arabia style, which would be what this is here. Also, if you didn't see Target versus Nikov had a 14-0 KD against Target on Lance Madness. It was bad. And I felt really bad for Target after that because I'm sitting there watching this guy get punched in the face consistently and had to talk about it. I felt a little dirty. I don't think it will be that bad here because he I think, was kind of down and out in that series mentally. So how do you open here? I mean, I think Scouts is the safest way to open for both. And then you kind of adapt from there. I think what these two civilizations do really well when we get to Castle Age is the ability to produce double gold comp. So camel and knights in combination with archers and X-bow or crossbow. That's like, these are the two civs that probably do that better than any civs in the game. You can't make camels if you're Portuguese, so you probably want to have archers in the mix heading towards Castle Age, or at least plan to play in towards monks if you want to go knights, because if you go straight knights up against the camel civ, they'll hold that position against you. Yeah, that's about it. I don't really have anything else to say, and I think these guys would be wise to continue to push in deer. Especially the Chinese player, because there's only one boar on this map. So you have the 125 food from the berry bush, but that is not enough to compensate for what would normally be the food you need for feudal. So, again, when I had played this with Chinese, I think I ended up going up 21 pop, and I pushed deer even on the way to feudal. Because you know it's about building up towards feudal. This is one of the maps where I'm not going to really doubt anyone or judge anyone for being a bit greedy and staying at home. You could, in theory, make mills on these deer, but players don't want to take those risks. Instead, they'd prefer to just push in an extra deer or two on the way to feudal. So, Matador needs to win this. I think if he doesn't win this, and then he ends up getting one win in the final game, it's still possible for him to stay alive in Titans League Gold with a good result in his final round against C40. I think he would need a 3-0, or maybe a 2-1. I think 3-0 is definitely... I mean, it feels better to say that, but... We looked at the math, and if Matador doesn't win the series, it's still going to be really tough for him to stay alive. It would be a huge result for Target if he could at least get 2 wins here. Double lumber camp for El Matador. He's gone up 21 pop. All this stuff I'd consider to be expected at this point. And El Matador's got a villager lead, has cheaper techs, and has great options and lots of food on the farms in the long run. Really curious to see how Target fares with the micro here. He's not slow. Anyone's going to look slow when you compare the APM to El Matador. Somehow El Matador has a military APM of 100 when we've literally just had a scout thus far. But like, I think it's just beyond the unit movement, it is how many of which unit do you make and the timings and the transitions. So, for example, when he was up against Nikov, he made 7 spears, which feels nice in a scout war. But Nikov had already found himself in towards archers. And so, oh, wow. Okay. El Matador, being really annoying here, actually killed a sheep. And he's not finished yet. Really being annoying. Forcing a lot of garrisons here. That's actually really good. They made 7 spearmen when Nikov was already on archers. And so, like, that's an obvious thing, right? I think you have to sense when the switch is going to come from the opponent. Scouts from Target. Looks like Target might have taken a hit there from the spearmen. And, ooh. Okay, so if you're going to try a full wall in Lance Madness, if you find an area like this that you could wall to, that actually could work for you. That's interesting. But that's only one side. So it's like you full wall here, and then you need to full wall this side as well. I guess Matador could, in theory, do the same, but it'd be really awkward. Like this. Like, yeah, walling like this, and then like this to protect this back gold. Gold still is going to be pretty exposed for Target. It's not like he has a safe gold behind these walls if it does go down. And small walls on the wood line from Target. Makes a lot of sense. He's got spears around. El Matador will see this. And El Matador just chipping away at a spearman here, but not really a lot in this. The Target should pull back. Target could use a Vil. And, well, if you kill the spearman, that's always good. And Matador, close. Matador will not expect Target to come from this side. Oh, wait, he just caught vision of it, though. Did he research Town Watch? No, I think he just... That might be Town Watch. I can't actually tell at the moment. But anyways, had good enough vision. So prepped the quick walls. Very well played. Still exposed on this side. But even if he doesn't notice, he does have a Spearman. And he's actually using his Spearman to kill the deer. And then kill the weak spear. Looking pretty clean for El Matador right now. We've got 3 scouts for him. We've got 5 spears for him. And then we end up having... Wow, look at the spearman number again. 8 spearmen for target. 8 spearmen for 3 scouts. It's a lot of spears. I could see El Matador getting a bit frustrated here. Aggressive players sometimes get really frustrated when they want to make all this army and kill fast. And then they can't find damage with the army they make. But I think he also is feeling like he's in a pretty good spot to counter the spearman numbers. And he also has done full scouting of target and knows this gold is exposed. So if you ever take this gold, you might need to consider a tower for target. Well, target sensed the range. Will he scout the range? He has exposed villagers here. He had scouted the range. Good blocking from El Matador. Sorry for not showing it. I showed part of it, and that's 1 villager kill and our first villager kill in the game. Very well played here from Matador so far. Has the better civ in terms of the eco bonuses, I think. And it does feel like Target has found it more difficult to find value and find damage thus far. It's been a lot of red moving in towards blue, a lot of blue defending from it, a lot of reactions. We now have the range from Target. 9 spearmen. Like, so many spearmen. You never... and he still lost a villager. It's just, that's the sad thing. It's crazy amounts of spearmen. You'd think that if I were to tell you, hey, this high-level player has 9 spearmen on Land Madness, you'd be like, oh, yeah, well, Matador made like 12 scouts. Not exactly. Oh, okay, now he's got 1 scout. Here come the ranged units, which is Matador's thing. He loves his ranged units. The target's going into skirms to counter this, which obviously he needs. Here, looks like the scouts for target have gone down against the spearman. He must have... Maybe he chose to kill that spearman. I'm not entirely sure. But, yeah, it seems like we probably won't see any more villagers die. Fletching is in for Matador, though. So his ranged units have more potential right now. And remember I said crossbow knight, right? And you force your opponent into skirms and you already have a stable, you might be tempted to even add more scouts here. Nice micro from El Matador. He sees the weak skirm. Doesn't lose an archer yet. And yeah, now these guys are very weak and have to end up backing away. Double range production of archers. So that might be the long term here for Matador. The spears are pretty weak. They're chipping away at the skirms. I think Target will be pretty happy with what the skirms accomplish, though. He doesn't have any skirmishers here, which is an issue. And Matador senses that. But at the end of the day, he was able to kill a few archers, and he hasn't lost any villagers yet. Skirms are pretty weak, spearmen are pretty weak, and still no fletching yet for Target. Still no blacksmith yet for him to research fletching. And more spearmen go down. Oh god, this hurts so much. Oh, he has no army. Has no army. Loses another vill. Gonna lose another vill. Well played for Matador. Is Matador's just gonna leave now? And he's killed 3 villagers in Feudal Age. He'll be in Castle Age a bit later. Res collected. Should be relatively even, but it's not. 1,000 more resources brought in for El Matador. So a great response from him. I'm nervous for the 3rd game already. Which will be Hideout. That's the home map for Target. Oh, hello, Archer. The Tiger's going to go down. Sad times for the Tiger. Hope you had your Frosted Flakes before that happened. I guess Frosted Flakes isn't a global thing, right? Anyways, it's like... I think it's Frosted Flakes. It's a cereal. and it's their like mascot or whatever is a tiger. That's what I thought of there. I love how Matador had to kill the deer as well. He's like, I have to kill something all the time with my army. Target's moving forward with skirmishers and spearmen. He's going for it, despite having an exposed gold. And Matador doesn't know about that army just yet. He probably does now because he lost the archer. But he sees this exposed gold as we have cav archers from Target. And Target calls it GG. I mean, I think it looked bad for him. Don't get me wrong. He's not going to be in a good position to kill anything with this. And he's probably going to be pushed off of gold. But at least give Matador the satisfaction of killing those villagers. Now, I mean, maybe don't. Don't boost his confidence. But yeah, Matador responds. And honestly, it looks like a really experienced lands map player who had an insane civilization, playing very clean the whole way through. Target, I would have liked to have seen a few more scouts from him, honestly. There was really only like 1 or 2 spearmen from Matador. I would have liked to see a little bit more map control, a little bit more potential in land, but he fell into the defensive side of things. Again, the wall makes sense, but your gold's still exposed. Matador didn't really wall. He just controlled the game with army and got the job done. And now we have our crucial third game. All right, here we are, folks. So as it stands with the live rankings for these guys, Target has 4 wins, and El Matador has 3. If El Matador is able to win this, then it's 4-4 between Target and El Matador with 1 round remaining. And again, these guys pretty much fighting over who stays alive with Z40. Because you've got the top 3 in the group, and then you have Z40, Matador, and Target. The final series for Matador will be Z40, and I forget. Can someone tell me Target's last round? Keep in mind, it will spoil the result of this if you look on Liquipedia. Shoot. I think it might be Heart. I think it would make sense that it would be Heart, which will be a tough series for him. So, we see Vietnamese again from someone on Hideout. It was Vietnamese from Kingston yesterday in another group, and he looked really strong against Ethiopians. And the thought process there was just defend an early imp, and then go into Imperial Skirmisher. And Imperial Skirmisher just straight up dominated. I mean, it was cannons and it was Arbalest from Overtaken. But still, there was just no way that the Imperial Skirmishers could be stopped. Vietnamese, they have cheaper eco upgrades, so they don't spend any wood on their eco upgrades. Their eco upgrades already research faster, so economically they're very strong. And again, they've got those skirms and great archers themselves, which is awesome. I think where they still struggle is catching up with the Britons, because the Britons have very cheap town centers. So I think I think we're going to see an instant 3 TC boom from Matador. He may choose to do something for map control, though. I remember a game where Matador was Britons on Arena against, I think, Dave Hun in Silver last month. Would have been like 4 or 5 weeks ago now. And he was Britons against Bohemians, and he went crossbow opening. And if anything, I think going crossbow opening here makes more sense than on Arena. So it's just a preference thing. If you go for fast castle into TCs, you give up full map control, and then you could be pressured a lot, which can be an uncomfortable feeling. But I think the idea is that the Britons have the answer to any of that pressure. Maybe go TC here so your TC can't be hit by a mangonel from outside the walls. Or you could still TC here to protect the gold, which is probably actually smarter, because then you can still mine gold. And then maybe a town center here to take some wood. And then if you're under pressure, you can go for the stone. I think Target should go arena style and go for map control with scouts. It suits the Vietnamese to do that. So go fast castle, stable. I think stable market instead of stable blacksmith. That's becoming more and more common just because players don't really get upgrades. And then you have an idea of what your opponent's doing. Did the colors switch, by the way? No, the colors didn't switch. I'm crazy. Yeah, like, you add scouts. If your opponent has military, then you're like, okay, I have something out here. I have a stable at least to be able to disrupt my opponent. If you don't see any military, you know your opponent's booming. You can find all the relics, bring in all the relics, and take it to the late game. Risky move from both players to be staying here. Will we have someone bail on this? Oh, and El Matador wins the Scout War. Now, give me your thoughts, chat. Should that exist in our game? Right there. A 50-50 where they're both doing the same thing, right? They're both doing the same damage at the same time, and one person wins. I think if it's possible, in those situations, if both units were to die, I think that would be interesting. Or worth exploring, at least. Because that's a coin flip right there. That is both players saying, well, I hope it's me. And with every win mattering, and, you know, Matador probably not going to be producing any more scouts. Pretty big deal that he is the scout there. The best ping wins? I don't think it is ping, no. Also, it'd be kind of interesting because they live in the same country, so it's like, I guess how far away the server is for them would matter. You think coin flip is part of the game? I get it, and I'm not hugely against it being part of the game, but I would really like to explore. Like, it would change the game. Players would never take that fight, I guess, if both units would die. Yeah, maybe it should stay part of the game. Monks also feel like it relies on luck. Yeah, but that's part of how monks work, right? There's slightly faster conversions, slightly slower conversions. If monks had the same conversion time every single time they tried to convert something, players would just get used to it and delete their units on time. So, I don't know, it's just a thought. I think I'd rather the devs focus on other things like pathing. Well, yeah, me too. But, you know, here we are in 2023, and they made the pathing significantly worse in a patch 5 or 6 months ago, and they still haven't fixed it, so I've lost faith that we will ever get that, but maybe I should be more positive. So this will be the straight fast castle from El Matador, which I think is a perfect play. And then on this side of things, we've got Target. And Target's likely going for... Yeah, he's absolutely going market with 4 on gold. So he will go stable, so he will add scouts. And then he will go for the market. We actually have a late barracks for Matador. So I think he will go archery range. I take it back. Food count's looking really nice for Castle H. And will he show the archery range or will he hide it? Probably show it. It makes sense to have it on the front. He's going to place the archery range there. He'll place his blacksmith. So Matador will want a bit of map control with crossbows. This gold is something that's been scouted. He didn't scout that this gold's here as well, so this would be a good spot for crossbows to sit if he could get there. God, listen to the flame. Speaking of bugs I've reported that will probably never get fixed, I think it's a capture age thing. Flame? No flame. Flame? It's very loud. A loom on the way for El Matador, which is a little bit notable because you don't need loom here unless you're planning on sending villagers forward. But I think the game plan for him is just going to be keeping the villagers at home, and it's possible he just didn't have the resources or something. T90, can you explain to me why YouTube constantly recommends me the Mega Random Viper MBL game from some years back? Well, it's probably because it's a beastly game and you didn't watch it yet. Get to watching it, man. Yeah, I mean, I think I know which one we're talking about. So if I remember that from 4 or 5 years ago, it was a really good game. I think it was, I mean, there were so many games with Viper MBL back in the day that were so entertaining. I think that one was like Vikings for one of the players. Yeah, you'd have to tell me if you end up watching it. Okay, so he still doesn't go right up against the wall, so he doesn't see the gold. But El Matador will lose his scout now, which should prompt him to make a spearman here. And he is bringing a villager forward, so he wants to go with some siege pressure. Siege pressure against stable opening could be kind of nice, but obviously you need the archer support to work out, right? All right, get some good hits here. And I think Target spotted the Vil as well. So the siege workshop's on the way up. We have 3 scouts. We actually have a knight from Target, which is a really smart move. Because he's probably expecting... Yeah, he sees the siege workshop. He's not seeing the biggest archer mass at the moment. And the scouts are going to engage. Scouts just wanting to chip away at the archers here. They'll kill 1 archer. Going to contribute with the others as well. And the knight is here in time. And this is so bad for El Matador. Your siege push can't do anything now. And the monks also make no sense. Because there's the potential for scouts. It would have been better for you to just like delete this villager and let it die and build a TC at home than to do that. Amazing play from Target to spot everything here, though. Maybe there's a world. Like, the scout did die. Maybe there's a world with a couple monks. Maybe he brings his spear out there. Maybe he could do it. But still no second town center yet for Matador. And the archers are going to need to be rebuilt. Meanwhile, second TC for Target. He's got a good farming eco going for him right now. And he's got a monastery, and it looks like he'll be trying to get some relics. Needs to make sure he keeps an eye on this. This still has to be stopped. But what you can't do if you're Target, as Matador spots the knight there, you can't let this knight get converted. At the very least, you've got to delete it when you hear it. Delete it. It has to be a delete. Okay, that was such a smart delete, because if there's a knight available for Matador, then he's got something that can really kill villagers. So this is the last strategy I expected with Britons. The monk siege push. But you are able to use cheap town centers to build up behind all this. Target's actually leaving his base, and he's going to place a TC all the way down here on a woodline and a neutral stone. That's interesting. So no TC here to protect his gold, which could be under threat. These are just archers with fletching, but they do have 6 range. Because Britons get extra range. But, you know, crossbowman upgrade coming in would add a little bit more potency to this attack. 175 food, 125 gold for crossbowman. Not cheap, and you're upgrading 4 units. Second TC, now third TC for El Matador, but he is behind. He should be behind in resources collected, at least with food wood. Yeah. Not horrible, and his attack could still pay off, obviously. And he's looped his crossbows away from the front here, actually, which is a bit interesting. But he's able to protect his siege with monks, so knights can't go out there. Scout's actually attacking Matador here. And Matador notices that. Target's going to try and finish off the villager. Doesn't finish it off. And still has to worry about the pressure coming in towards his base right now. A lot on stone for Target. That seems to be intentional, so he might be thinking about a defensive castle. I like Matador's position more and more now, because he's got more and more crossbowmen being massed. And this is this is his comfort zone. He's playing towards his strength. It's less eco than you would typically see in a hideout game. But this is something I always have faith in him doing, and as I say it, suddenly it's 2 mangonels versus 6 crossbowmen. And he's got to make more mangoes. Didn't see this relic, by the way. Lost a monk down here. Bit of a weird spot for the monk to ever be. Feel like the monks always have to be in the main push or looking for relics. Unlucky, though, not to see that. And, oh, it's a big attack round from Target. And Matador, you don't have Bodkin. So this will take a lot longer than your normal micro scenarios against the mangoes. That's going to be a relic for Target. That'll be relic number 2. There's also this relic, which he hasn't scalded. Big shot. Oh, that could have been 2 for Matador, but he doesn't get 2. At the very least, I think he'll take a 1-for-1. So because of the farm count right now, as we see Matador running in here with the crossbows. Oh, no! There's so many siege weapons here, dude. You're crazy. The pressure's on. He probably needs to win to survive. So he's sending everything he can at this. But this is just way too much. Way too much aggression. There's as many mangonels here as you have crossbows that you're still running in. Yeah, in terms of the imp timings, I think that Target should be in a slightly better spot because of the farms. But now Matador's surpassed him in the farms, so it should be pretty close. Okay, no Bodkin. He probably feels like he has Bodkin arrow because the range feels normal. Because it's still 7 range when you have crossbows with fletching. A Target placing a castle that is far from ideal. But he'll be fine now. And actually, at this point, had he just waited and tried to drop the castle here, it probably would have put an end to this whole push. But he didn't know that he was going to get the clear up. This is the safe play. And Matador must realize now that this is a race to imp, and he's going to drop some stone walls just in case. Because this could get out of hand. He's got to back away now. Wouldn't be too crazy to see a 4th town center for a Britain player here. We do see the 4th town center for Target. Again, Target loves his eco. Target 2 relics. Does have a monk out there somewhere. That monk seems to be checking this side for a relic. And that relic, I don't know where it is. Is it on the way home for El Matador? Yeah, I think that's the one that he has there. El Matador, just 9 crossbowmen. And you should really just build up your other crossbows at home at this point and try and get these guys home. I think you're going to have very little opportunities to do much damage. Seems like we just missed Matador hopping out and hitting this mango. And it went down to low HP. And I think Matador thought it was this one that went down to low HP. And so, yeah, the monastery will go down. Houses will actually go down. Stonewall definitely needs to complete here for El Matador. He's tried to be aggressive here. And he hasn't really been able to get enough damage out of it. And Target's defense and Target's economy has been really good. And Target, he's had the better economy thus far. Collected almost 2,000 more resources, and he's on his way to imp. This could be really awkward for El Matador to defend from. Big decisions now from Target. Is he bold enough to go for rats and archers? Because he could very easily just use his castles to go for trebuchets, and then maybe add archer ranges and go for imp skirms. This knight might actually find this relic here. Matador's on the way. Ooh, this is interesting. This is the 5th relic, the final relic. Okay, knight should be deleted. Knight is deleted. Monk might be able to get that home, but I'm sure there might be a scout on the way from the stable, yeah. Seems like the choice is rats and archers. I think El Matador should save these. Run here. You had the vills there. Run here. Run through. Re-wall it. It just takes a second. He's actually going to stay in here. You can use the Britain range to kill the rats and archers. But if the rats and archers get fully upgraded, I prefer the rats and archers. The rats and archers will have the speed. El Matador stops for a second to convert the villager. Also, maybe wants to sneak a villager in there for some type of raid. Still feel like these crossbows should be saved. Just save the crossbows. Back up, save the crossbows, build up a mass. It's 8 rats and archers. I mean, at this point, the rats and archers are going to have the upgrades to chase these down and kill them. If they can't find it. This is kind of funny. This should be... But you're not doing yourself any favors if you're playing into crossbowmen by not trying to bring these home. But it's El Matador, so he's having fun with it anyways. And he is losing a lot of crossbows. Yeah, not so good. All right, so Target wants to go for a castle behind a treb push here, guys. He doesn't know that there's a castle here from El Matador. He didn't know there were stone walls until now, but the good news for him is the trebs that he's making, they're going to have a target, and it's going to be that castle there for Matador. Oh, the monk converted the scout. Did the monk die? Wait, what? Where is the monk? I don't know what happened, but that relic hasn't been brought in yet. So tons of food for Matador as he makes it to Imp. But it's going to be 3 castles versus 1. And he's already starting to lose his castle. So, actually, to make matters worse, this is his only area he's taking stone. So he won't have another castle in the near future. I'm not seeing any other stone piles for him. There's neutral stones back here, but he's actually walled this up because he's concerned. Guys, I don't know how you stop this if you're El Matador. Monk died to scout after converting the villa, I think. Yeah, maybe. That would make sense. Pretty unimportant right now. Sorry I didn't show it to you. But I've really had my focus on this. Archers is not going to cut it anymore. So El Matador is starting to get cav upgrades. And he's starting to drop stables now. So he could try stable units. I think in a game where it's even. And a game where you think it's going to last a while, and you know, you want something that's relatively safe yet effective, you go for light cav. It's always what players are going to do here. But honestly, I think this is bad enough where you might even want to try Cavalier. I'm not sure that would work. But God, this is rough, man. He's just now trying to get those upgrades in, just now dropping the stables. Doesn't have that much in the way of res to be able to get the stables down. The Rat-10 number is going to be ridiculous because there's 3 castles that are done producing trebs now. And they could simply focus on the Rat-10 archers. You don't even really need to worry about skirmishers too much if you have Rat-10s. It's a good move here from El Matador to try and take out the castle, but he's not able to take the castle. He loses a treb. And while he'll take a bombard cannon, maybe. Yeah, he'll take the bombard cannon. He's just stuck on Castle Age tech up against Rats and Archers that have full blacksmith upgrades and will soon be elite. Yep, you try skirms. It might be too little too late. You try light cav. It might be too little too late. With Target, he needed, like, with Target winning this, he puts himself in an amazing position to get that 4th place spot. We'll look at the stats after this and see what the stats tell us. And it's not just that for Target, too. He's going to have 5 wins if he wins this game. Hart's only at 3. Now, Hart has only played 2 rounds. Target will play 4, so there's a big difference there. But still, things to think about, right? Because I was wondering who's going to be able to do it between El Matador, Target, and then Z40. Who's going to get that 4th place spot? Because we knew Nikov, Sebastian, and Hart will probably end up number 1, 2, and 3. And Target just seems really solid with his eco. Really solid with his early imp openings, too. It was actually the thing that Matador struggled with the most on that Coast to Mountain game, which was a lot closer than this. Usually you need different types of units. I think against the Britons, you could simply just go for elite Rats and Archers, and unless they have Onager or something, which maybe would have been an option here for El Matador, I think the Ratsons are going to be able to do it. Ratsons have 10 pierce armor, so the crossbows right now are going to be doing 1 damage. The light cav, they are a unit that has 60 HP. So they will die to the Rats and Archers, and they don't really do a lot of attack either. So yeah, everything just melts. Yeah, protect the siege, push the castles, continue to push into the eco. We'll have light cav as well from Target, but I don't think it's needed. The Vietnamese late game is insane, and Target did not really struggle against the push from El Matador. El Matador seemed like the timings were all off with that push. He lost his archers originally. He never really got, like, monks didn't really feel like it had a place when his opponent had scouts out. And yeah, this one is definitely the saying is this is a forgettable game for Matador, but this is not a forgettable game. Like, he's going to have a lot of regrets over this, maybe Coast to Mountain, because he might be relegated. Still has a chance, I believe, because he got one win. And he could 3-0 Z40 in the final rounds and take himself up to 6 wins, which would be an epic save. So I think it has to be doable in some way, shape, or form. I'll have to look at it soon. But the result is 2-1 Target. And Target is in a good position to stay safe here in gold after this result. All right, so real quick, 55K resources collected, more of every single resource for Target. 5-1 KD with the Rats and Archer and Siege buildup. But yeah, let's look at our stat sheet. We should have our stat sheet on one of these tabs. And let's see what the odds tell us. Okay, probabilities. Group A. And this doesn't have the updated result. We need to add Target winning 2-1. Doesn't really matter the order. Okay, so it says 3% chance for El Matador. I'm wondering, okay, so am I missing games here? No, he has 3 more games. Okay, so let's start with greatest potential for El Matador. All right. Greatest potential is he 3-0 Z40. So let's look at that. What does he depend on then? All right. So if he 3-0 Z40, Z40's pretty much screwed, but still has a chance. So then he needs to beat Target, right? And I guess if Target wins a game in his final round, he probably has no chance, right? Let's see. Target 1 win. Oh, there's still a shot because of Heart. Okay. Yeah, there's still a shot because of Heart's results. And technically speaking, like, Sebastian could get destroyed a lot and all that stuff. Interesting. But what if Target gets 3-0'd without Heart's results? Let's just say Heart goes... I mean, this is a Heart result. Oh, okay, so that simplifies it, I think. And so in terms of El Matador's future, El Matador needs Heart to 3-0 Target, and then El Matador needs to 3-0 Z40. I think that's what that is. Now, let's look at it from other players' perspectives. Let's look at Z40. And how do I clear this? Clear this all. I haven't covered Z40 yet in golds. Okay, so Z40's got 1 win, but he has 3 rounds yet to play, actually. He is to play El Matador, he is to play Heart, and he is to play Sebastian. So he needs to aim to beat 5. So he needs to get a lot of wins on the board. It's harder for me to speculate with him because he hasn't played as many rounds, but still. Heart is pretty interesting because he has 3 rounds to play, and Heart has to play Nikov. Heart has to play Target. And then Heart has to play Z40. And Nikov's like clearly number 1 in the group. So I think right now, at least from what the stats are telling us before we, add too much in here, Nikov probably going to end up in first. Sebastian most likely end up in second. Target could realistically maybe even get 3rd place from Heart, but it's probably Heart or Target in 3rd or 4th, and then most likely Z40 or El Matador getting relegated in the 5th or 6th spots. After that result, the chances aren't looking too good for Matador. So we'll see how it goes in Group A. Good series, though. And congratulations to Target. Target's actually Target's got a 33% chance to get into that 3rd place spot, which is a playoff spot. That would be such a sick result from him. He needs to hope that Nikov smashes Heart, and then hope that he could get a good result against Heart to do it. But I think he could definitely get 1 win versus Heart. It would depend heavily on the draft.